seems like a typical day in Boston today, right? But no, it's great. It's great to see these guys, and it's crazy to think 10 years already gone by. So it's I don't know. You sit back and think how quick it goes, and all these guys what they're doing their lives, and everyone looks pretty good. So I think everyone's in pretty good health right now. Maybe except for Shill, who we hope is getting really healthy as quick as possible.
10 years, a long time. I mean, you think back on it, if you appreciate it much more now than you did at the moment or in the weeks that followed?
Yeah, I think I look around a lot of things. That was my first season, and when you're a rookie, you don't really know what you're doing. They're telling you what to do. You're trying to not mess up as much as possible, and you're trying to perform and make an impression. And that year was such an amazing year, winning a World Series, and I always joke around like, everyone cries, says 86 years of heartache. I said it was like 4 months for me, so.
It's going to happen all the time.
Right, yeah, this is great. I mean, are we going to do this every year? And you finally realize, and then you do it again in 2007, and then you realize, I think, like you said, later down, it's special, and it's hard to do, and you're going to have a lot of in-between years, and for the team to do it last year, too, it was such an amazing feat.
What do you think of Manny being hired as a minor league coach by the Cubs?
I'll tell you, if there's anyone that's going to teach you hitting, I mean, who would you rather have than Manny? The way he swings, his preparation. I mean, the guy never stopped working on his swing, bettering himself, and there's going to be some kids that are going to love working with him.
Given the way he left here in 08, did you think he'd ever emerge as a minor league coach?
You never know. You never know what people's aspirations are in life. And I think sometimes, too, some of the people you think are going to be coaches don't become coaches, and some people you don't think are going to be coaches become coaches. So you just never know, and it's one of those games where I mean, I didn't think, he'd be a coach right away. Sometimes guys need a little more time to reflect on doing something else.
A lot of people talk about his God-given ability to hit the ball, but is the underrated aspect of how, like you said earlier, you mentioned how much he worked at the craft, and how much will that help him as a coach?
Well, I think preparation is the key to anything in life. Whatever you do in life, you got to be prepared, and his preparation was to a T every day. And even when he was going through his tough times, he was working. There wasn't really many slumps, but he really would harness going back and looking at video and taking steps that he had to do. And I think he can teach that to a lot of guys. His biggest attribute is going to be staying inside the baseball and showing guys how to keep the hands inside the ball and drive it.
What did winning the World Series in your first year, essentially in the majors, do for your career in terms of confidence and perspective?
Well, for me, it changed my life. I went from making minor league money to all of a sudden making major league money and then getting a full share in the World Series. So my life was changed dramatically. I mean, it made my life. And, in the minor leagues, you're grinding it out so much, paycheck to paycheck, and then you all of a sudden get a little bit of money and stuff like that. It helps you out in so many ways where, like I went to Athletes Performance and did things there, and I could afford to do that. And I think just being around great veteran leadership on this team allowed me to learn a lot about being a better ball player, but also how to prepare myself to be a better ball player every day, and just watching those guys. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute just watching these guys swing.
What sort of the memories when you think back on it, when you guys were together last night, the stories you tell that remind you of what that team was like?
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at these guys and you see, everyone's definitely a little older now, but probably more mature than when we were winning a World Series. But I think it's the fact that these guys were just professionals. They went out every day, played the game as hard as they could, let it go home to their kids and wives or whatever, and come back the next day and go at it again. And these guys were good at basically, the old saying of turning the page. Everyone kept saying, "Oh, let's turn the page. Move on. We get beat by 12 runs. We're going to move on. And we're going to try and beat them by 12 runs." So it was just the attitude and the veteran leadership that allowed guys to come in each day and work hard.
It took a special kind of character, and a lightness to that team that really, a lot of people didn't like John saying you guys were idiots, but just that sort of that idea that you guys had that mentality that you're not going to let this phase us. All the stuff, all the outside stuff, the media, the fans, it's not going to bother us.
Yeah, there's a lot of anxieties that come with sports, and if you let it take over your life, you know, we're in a big market, it can do that to a lot of players. You know, some guys love, you know, like Kevin Millar was such a great fit here because, as you know, with the show he has now, like Kevin loves it. Like he loves being out there in the spotlight, talking baseball, talking to people, and that's why he was such a big part of this team. Is his willingness to be in the media and just to take on that role, where other guys did not want to do that. And that's the greatest thing about that team. When you look at it, those are the individuals that did little things that didn't hit a home run, didn't do all that stuff. And that's the hardest part of playing in Boston is if you got a lot of guys that are, you know, anti it, you know, it might not work. You know, somebody on this team, you know, has to fill that role and take that leadership role, and we had guys that stepped up and did that.